Good evening, everyone, and welcome to South Asians for Biden's Presidential Inauguration Gala, celebrating President Biden and Vice President Kamala Devi Harris. My name is Nina Davuluri, and I'm proud to be one of your hosts for tonight's gala. Tonight is the culmination of the collective efforts of so many members of the South Asian community, and we're taking the time and space to celebrate our collective accomplishments together. We have an exciting program ahead, and we'll be joined by an incredible group of political, thought, and faith leaders, talented artists, and celebrities. So stay tuned. First up, before we begin, it's my pleasure to introduce to you the inspiring National Director of South Asians for Biden, who wears many hats as a lawyer, former co-chair of South Asians for Hillary, and as a wonderful mother to her daughter, Mila. Please welcome Neha.
Thank you so much, Nina, for that. And I just want to say a huge welcome to all of you, and especially a big thank you to our esteemed guests and panelists this evening. But also, I just want to give a huge shout out to the South Asians for Biden team. So tonight backstage, we have Harini Krishnan, Vaibhav Jain, and Nidhi Khanna, who are ensuring that this program goes seamless for you. And also, we've been working really hard to put this together. And I really want to acknowledge Deepa Sharma, Parag Parikh, Shivanti Satyanandan, Joy Kirpalani, Praveen Mayan, and Murli Balaji. And that's really where we start. It's the power of our community. When we formed South Asians for Biden back in December 2019, we had 3 members. It eventually became an 85-person national board with thousands of members. And we were really, truly able to build the community, advocate for the community, and also the Biden-Harris agenda brick by brick. While the South Asian diaspora is diverse, we speak many different languages, we hail from different nationalities, we belong to different religions. But what we did was we came together and we celebrated our differences, but joined hands for a common good. And this is why we are here tonight, because we delivered. And not only did we deliver once, but we delivered twice. And it was through the advocacy of all of you, whether it was writing postcards or phone banking, or participating in safe rallies. And that truly is the power of community. The South Asians for Biden journey doesn't end tonight. This is truly a movement. The community is hungry for advocacy and for continuing on. And so we will continue to engage, educate, and mobilize the community for years to come. So thank you again. Have an amazing evening. And I'd love to introduce a South Asian a cappella that's going to sing the national anthem. And then we're going to have a South Asians for Biden video that's going to discuss the power of community that's produced by our very own SAB volunteer, Zan Ahmed. So take it away, folks. Have a good evening.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light
what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming,
whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight
on the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming,
and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That was beautiful. And so we will now start with the video produced by Zan for South Asians for Biden, titled The Power of the Community.
Over the course of the year, South Asians mobilized our democracy and prepared to battle for the soul of our nation. South Asians from across the country came together for groundbreaking events with community leaders. They connected with voters through 80,000 phone calls in 9 languages, wrote 10,000 postcards to voters in swing states. They safely gathered for outdoor rallies, engaged with major media platforms with op-eds and interviews. They represented our community at the DNC, encouraged our community to vote early, and boosted record voter turnout across the country. We were instrumental in mobilizing our community to be the margin of victory for President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Devi Harris. But when we realized that the balance of power in the Senate rested on Georgia's runoff elections, our community got to work and made more than 25,000 phone calls and sent over 40,000 postcards to South Asian voters in Georgia. And we delivered a new Senate majority. This is the power of our community. This is what representation means in our democracy. This is the future we've created for our kids. On behalf of the entire South Asian surviving family, please accept our most heartfelt gratitude for your tireless efforts in helping to save our democracy.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Murli Balaji. I'm a proud Hindu and a proud liberal. I know that's not what the cool kids say these days, but hey, I'm grown. The power of faith in the South Asian community cannot be understated. Our faith communities have been with us and have guided us since we came to this country over a century ago. From the Hindus, Sikhs, and Muslims who came as laborers to Angel Island back in the late 19th century, to the Muslims, Christians, and Jains who came to our country following the end of the Asian Exclusion Act in 1965. We have always been a community guided by our faith. Just as my Hindu faith guides my values, the faith of millions of South Asians have guided us, both in individual communities and towards a collective faith. South Asians for Biden is representative of that collective faith, that President Biden will restore our country. And the reality is, sometimes there's tensions among us, but for the most part, our communities have worked hand in hand together, mourned with each other, celebrated with each other, and our faiths have enriched our community. So our faith, both individually and collectively, can help bring about a new vision for America. That's why I hope you'll be inspired by our faith invocations that represent the Hindu, Sikh, Muslim, Jain, Buddhist, and Christian traditions. After all, we are enriched by the generation that preceded us, the temple, gurdwara, mosque, and church builders who imbued us with the values that helped guide us to this victory. Thank you.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. The beloved community belongs to divine oneness, and so does all that it achieves. May we enter this new era with our ancestors at our backs, their bravery and resilience in our veins. May we enter this new era with our children and their children in our hearts, that they might live in a multiracial America where they are safe and free and flourishing. May we show up to the labors ahead in Chardikala, ever-rising spirits even in darkness, ever-rising joy even amid the pain of great labors, for America is a nation still waiting to be born. And we are the ones who must birth it into being. And so tonight we breathe. Tomorrow we push. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon everyone out there. Today is truly a historic and momentous day for our nation, one that carries with it the promise and potential for new beginnings. There's a verse in the Quran that says, "Verily, with every difficulty there is relief, with every difficulty there is relief." So in this time we pray for relief for our nation, for our neighbors, those who are struggling and at the margins of society. We ask God to guide the hand of this new administration towards doing good, because as the scripture says, God loves those who do good. And we ask that God perfects the light within us so that we can shine bright. We can emanate brightness from us, and that light can bring about brighter days moving forward.
In the spirit of Sanskrit poet Kalidasa, I offer this Usha Vandana. We gather to celebrate the dawn of a new day, one both beautiful and hard-won. During the long nights of striving towards this day, we whispered tiny flickering hopes into the wind. Many new hopes were lit, and like rows of Deepavali Diyas, they have led us onto a new and brighter path that recognizes the multiplicity of truths and yearnings that comprise this nation. As we gaze upon this new day and the days to come, may our evolving visions and efforts be graced with divine light and heart-centered wisdom, compassion, hope, and healing. Om Shanti.
All-powerful God, the Eternal One, with humble submission to your divine design, all of us in this great nation of the United States of America are beseeching your blessings and benediction upon our new President, Joe Biden Jr., and the Vice President, Kamala Devi Harris, who just assumed their honorable positions. During these unprecedented uncertainties of our nation and the entire world, grant our President Biden indomitable courage and inner strength in his leadership to assure healing and peace for the people, prosperity for the nation in all spheres of faith, art and science and technology. May all our expectations through him and his administrative team be realized and met with great success. In God's name we pray. Amen.
Jai Jinendra. Namo Arihantaram, Namo Siddharam, Namo Ayariyaram, Namo Vajayanam, Namo Loe Savasahunam, Eso Panchanamokaro, Sava Pava Pranasano, Mangalaram Cha Savesim, Paramang Havai Mangalam.
Cultivating empathy and compassion is a pillar of Buddhism. It can be encompassed with the word love. President Biden in his inaugural address stated, "We can tackle the immense challenges our country faces. We must open our souls instead of hardening our hearts." I pray for an America where we each cultivate empathy and compassion, and tomorrow is much better than today.
Hi, welcome. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. My name is Fawzia Mirza. I'm going to be one of your several hosts guiding you through this evening. I'm coming to you from Toronto, and it feels really appropriate just coming out of these beautiful prayers that wherever you are, whatever city you are in, whatever country you're in, acknowledge the land that you're on, acknowledge whether it's treaty land, whether it's stolen land, and just take that moment as we go through the evening. Thank you so much. And I'm so excited for this beginning, y'all.
Hey guys, I'm Robbie Patel. I don't know, I can't believe we're here. This has been a wild few years, definitely a wild last couple months. And I'm here because that I deserve all the credit for it. And I just wanted to tell you guys, like, I won't take it. I think we all did it together. Did I play a big hand in it? Sure, absolutely. But I'm not saying that. That's what everyone else is saying. I'm really glad to be here, guys. This is awesome. So fun. Also, Mama's on FaceTime because they tried to get into this thing and they couldn't figure it out. Mom, can you say hi? Great. Close enough.
That is so fantastic, Ravi. I love it, everybody. I'm Rajiv, Satyal, coming to you live from beautiful downtown Burbank, California. That inauguration, I agree, on Wednesday was really something else. At first, I was really nervous because I heard about the 25,000 National Guard troops that were going to be there. And then I figured, you know what, that's already larger than Trump's inauguration crowd. So I was already happy. We were off to a good start. And it was kind of great to see us swearing in without the swearing. So without that out of the way, I am amped to introduce an exciting panel with the 4 congressional representatives. Actually 3 are joining us tonight, South Asian origin, fondly known as the Samosa Caucus. And I like that samosa because it's shaped like a triangle. That's change. I don't know if they knew that. Maybe that's why they did it. That's what you need people like Ravi and me for. Okay, we've got Representative Krishnamoorthi from Illinois. We have Representative Jayapal from Washington. And we have Representative Khanna from California, knows how to party. This panel is going to be moderated by the founder and CEO of Girls Who Code, our good friend, Reshma Saujani.
Hey, everybody. It is so wonderful to be here with all of you. I, too, have been waiting for this day for a really long time. So I sat there 2 days ago watching Sonia Sotomayor swear in Kamala Devi Harris. And I sat there with my 2 boys on my lap, and I just cried. And every barrier that we broke down that day is made possible because we stood on the shoulders. And some of the shoulders that we stood on are the 3 Congress folks that we're going to talk to today. And I know this because I once ran for Congress and lost miserably. Thank God the 3 of you won. But I remember that we were the first to build that first South Asian walk list, to make that first South Asian donor list, to convince our aunties and uncles that politics is something that you should try to pursue, and it's better than even being an engineer, a doctor, or a lawyer. So when Kamala Devi Harris was ready, we were ready, because we had built that muscle of how to activate voters and how to knock on doors and how to ask for money. And we only got there because of each and every single one of you. So on behalf of the community today, I just want to express an enormous amount of gratitude to the 3 of you. You have made this dream that so many of our children now have, that they can be everything and anything, possible. So it is an honor to introduce the Samosa Caucus. Congressman Bera is not with us. He is not feeling well today. So let's say a little prayer for him that he feels better. So let's get to it. So the first thing is the Democrats control the White House and both chambers of the Congress. Woohoo! So we finally have an opportunity to make some headway on a number of issues like immigration, climate change, healthcare. So in your opinion, what is the key issue that we can address in the upcoming Congress? I'd love to start with you, Representative Jayapal, as the head of the Progressive Caucus chair, and then get Raja and roll your answers.
Well, thanks, Reshma. And hello, everyone. It is so great to see such a great turnout tonight and to be with my really fantastic members of Congress, Ro and Raja, and hopefully Ami's doing okay. We have so much to do and so much we can do now that we control the White House, the Senate, and the House. So the first thing is big, expansive COVID relief package. That is what's on the table right now. We got to get money in people's pockets. We've been pushing for the survival checks, for assistance for small businesses, for the vaccination distribution. And finally, we have a president who actually understands the suffering that is happening across the country. So that's huge. And then I'll mention one other and leave the rest for my colleagues, and that is immigration reform. You know, I've been a huge immigration reform champion for 20 years, and we are finally going to have the ability to really move a humane and just immigration policy through, which is so important to us as South Asians. Somebody who came here when I was 16 by myself, I know exactly, and I've been through a multitude of visas. I know how critical that is. So those are two big things in front of us, and there's many more.
Ro, do you want to jump in?
Sure, Reshma. Well, first, thank you, Reshma, for all that you did. I mean, you have been a trailblazer since 2004, first starting the first South Asian effort with John Kerry. And I just want to thank Harini and Deepa in the Bay Area for all they did with South Asians for Biden. It's an honor to be here with Pramila, who is the leader of the progressive movement in Congress, the progressive co-chair, and Raja Krishnamoorthi, who is such a leader on so many issues of technology and education and in many places in the Congress. I, too, was very moved by the swearing in. We all have our Kamala Harris stories. My favorite is I first met Vice President Harris in 2003. I was running against Tom Lantos against the war in Iraq, and I lost very badly. But the local paper wasn't covering me, the San Francisco Chronicle. And back then, Kamala Harris was quite a star. She was just been elected to the DA in San Francisco. And so I got a meeting with her, and I still remember she said, well, do you have any campaign literature? And I said, I do. I didn't bring it. And she said, well, first thing, you may want to bring some of your literature along. But she ended up calling the San Francisco Chronicle, and they ended up doing a story on our race. We still lost 70-20. But the point is, she helped someone. She helped someone who she saw had a barrier to break in. And I have no doubt as vice president, she's going to do that. She's going to open doors for everyone on this call and beyond. And not just the South Asian community, but people who have been marginalized from politics. So it's amazing to see her in that role. And I agree with everything Pramila said. I think our first priority has to be getting help to people, getting checks to people, getting helping kids. One of the things I'm most excited about is this proposal of $300 a month for children. And Columbia has done a study that it would reduce child poverty by 50%. I mean, imagine if we can do that in the first month of the Biden presidency, reduce child poverty in this country by 50%. That's what is so exciting about the opportunity we have.
Raja?
Hi, Reshma. Thank you so much for hosting this, and great to see my great colleagues, Pramila and Ro, and I hope Ami's feeling better. And thank you to all of the attendees and organizers. Look, I think the number one issue to me is vaccine distribution. It's a situation where everyone in America deserves a shot in the arm, literally, and yet only 37 million doses have been produced, and of that, only 17 million have been distributed. And so we have a big problem on our hands. The Trump administration has bungled the rollout of the vaccine. And so right now, in my humble opinion, the number one priority is to ramp up the production of vaccines and make sure that it gets into the arms of every single American ASAP, of course, starting with the most vulnerable and then reaching everyone else. I think that another issue that I want to highlight is just the cost and access of higher education. It's obscene in this country, and the amount of student debt is ridiculous. And so I think we have to radically approach a debt cancellation plan. I know that President Biden and Vice President Harris have put forward one approach among many, and I think we in Congress have to work with them. But at this point, we cannot go back to just a new normal following this pandemic. We have to get to a new better. We have to have come out of this pandemic better than we started in some regards, and that's with regard to our healthcare system and access to higher education opportunities so that we can finally get moving again as an economy. So overall, we have to, stay positive, but test negative at this point.
Yeah. So it's powerful. I mean, one of the things I think all of us share in common is that we have these immigrant working parents that so much of the reason why we're standing here is because they had access to the American dream. And, I've been advocating a lot for working mothers. We've lost 2 million women in the labor market. And it's because, Ro, you alluded to that, we have a childcare crisis in this country. And so I too was very excited to see him put that, on the table immediately as something that the administration is going to address. There have been a number of executive orders. It's been like a birthday party, like wall gone, DACA, yes, you know what I mean? And so I've been so excited. I know you've all been so excited. So which is the one that you are most personally excited about?
It's too hard to say because there's so many and we've been waiting for so long. I mean, I have to say overturning the Muslim ban was a really big one. $15 minimum wage for federal contractors. That's fantastic because we're going to pass 15 hopefully through the House. I was on the first major city that passed $15 minimum wage was Seattle, and I was on that committee. So now it's so great to see it mainstreamed. But, I was just thinking, because when Ro was talking, I thought maybe I should tell my Kamala Harris story as well, which is a family Kamala Harris story. My great aunt was one of the first women OBGYNs in India. She wrote the medical textbook that's used for OBGYNs in their medical schools. And she became the dean of the Chandigarh Medical School, I forget what it's called, Medical Institute, I think. And she had a very promising student that became her mentee. And that student was Shamla Gopalan, who is Kamala Devi Harris's aunt, her mother's sister. And Dr. Gopalan ended up writing the next version of that medical textbook. And in the acknowledgments of that textbook, she acknowledges my great aunt. And it's just such a beautiful thing. And, Kamala and I were sworn in, Vice President Harris, I'm going to just say it because I love saying it. We're sworn into Congress on the same day. We were elected the same night that the former president was elected. And we did so many bills together. I became the first South Asian American woman, but not the last, Reshma. There's still time for you and many others on the call to make it into Congress with us. And Kamala, of course, became the first South Asian American woman and the second Black woman in the US Senate. And so the incredible pride and joy that we feel of people who understand these issues. And that's why these executive orders are important. The first bill that Kamala and I wrote together and introduced together was access to legal counsel following the Muslim ban, because we were both at the airport. So that is, I think, the experience that she and President Biden will together take and put into policy.
Yeah, I am so excited to watch the two of you just cause a lot of good trouble together.
I'd like to put in a word for stopping the building of the wall and rejoining the Paris Climate Change Accord. That was my first bill in Congress. And, I'm the co-founder of the Solar Caucus in Congress. And this is a bipartisan caucus that, believe it or not, I co-founded with a guy named Ralph Norman, who's a Republican from South Carolina. We couldn't be more different. He's a conservative Republican. I'm not. He's a member of the Freedom Caucus. I'm not. And his name is Ralph, and I'm not. And yet I think there's a real powerful opportunity for us to make headway on the issue of climate change with an incredibly friendly partner and ally in the White House. And so I think that under the president and vice president's leadership, we are going to finally make inroads on this problem of combating climate change, rejoining the Paris Climate Change Accord, rejoining the WHO, and then of course stopping the building of the wall signifies that we're finally engaging with the rest of the world. And we can't solve these problems of climate change or ending the pandemic unless we do that. And that's a huge positive change for us and the world, actually, in my opinion.
Yeah. Ro, did you want to add anything?
There's so many. I agree with all of, obviously, enthusiastic.
Having trouble hearing you.
The Muslim ban stands out because that undermined the very essence of who we are as a country. We're not a country based on a religion or a nationality or a particular culture. We're a country based on ideas. And Donald Trump, in doing that, really undermined our very founding principles. And so Biden and President Biden and Vice President Harris, I think, are not just restoring America, but taking us a step closer to a multiracial democracy. And in my view, that's one of their greatest service to the country.
Yeah. I think that's right. It goes against everything we are. So a lot of people here were so excited about Vice President Harris's election, but even so excited about what happened in Georgia. And we didn't really even get to celebrate it. So last question here. There's fire in people's belly right now. There's fire in this community's belly, and we want to keep doing more. Really quick, what are some strategies for us to continue the engagement and continue being active?
Well, I think the number one thing is people need to run for office. I think this is the moment where people need to take the momentum of the engagement that the South Asian community displayed. And I'm encouraging more people to run for office. You know, there's an old saying in Washington, D.C., which you know, which is, if you don't have a seat at the table, you're on the menu. And none of us on the Zoom call or our families can possibly afford to be on the menu. And I affectionately coined the term samosa caucus to refer to the four of us. But unfortunately, we have not had any new members for 4 years.
You need some more samosas?
We need more samosas. We need more idlis. We need more pakoras. And we need people to run for office. So I say to everyone out there, either you or maybe one of your loved ones or friends should be encouraged to run, whether it's for city council or state house or maybe even Congress. Although please, not in my congressional district, please.
Pramila, Ro, you want to wrap it up before I hand it to Ravi?
Well, what I was going to say is that, the South Asian community and South Asians for Biden did so much work to elect Joe Biden and Kamala Devi Harris to president and vice president. Our work can't stop, because if they're going to be successful, then they're going to need an organizing force on the ground, including in Republican districts and Democratic districts across the country. And so if people can really stay focused on the issues and help generate the education around why we need a big relief package with all the things that we've talked about tonight, why we need to support President Biden's push for a big reinvestment package that is putting people back to work, why we need to have healthcare, Raja's call for canceling student debt. All of this is going to take organizing on the ground. And Reshma, you're an organizer, I'm an organizer, and we know that things don't happen with policy unless there is a strong outside strategy. So stay engaged, call your representatives and your members of Congress, try to organize more people, South Asians and others, for the policies that President Biden and Vice President Harris are going to be championing, so that we can really, truly bring the best of America to bear.
Love it. Final word, bro. No pressure.
On a policy basis, I have to say this, we as a South Asian community need to push to end the filibuster and remind people that the filibuster was part of the Jim Crow South by Calhoun to defend slave states, and is really a vestige of racism. And mobilizing to overturn the filibuster, I think, is what's going to help get a lot of the progressive agenda. In terms of the activism and involvement, I would just say, one, don't get discouraged. I lost 2 times badly before I won. And 2, don't think that politics is the be all and end all of making a contribution. My guess is, other than remembering Kamala Harris's historic achievement, we're probably going to remember most from inauguration Amanda Gorman's poem. And it just shows that you don't have to be an elected official. You don't have to be a politician to move a nation, to have a profound impact. You can do that in your own way and find your own voice. And all of that is necessary.
Well said. That's right. Thank you. Again, we are so grateful for your leadership and for the three of you. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for your leadership. So thank you. And God bless you.
Thank you, Reshma.
Thanks, Ray.
Everybody.
Care. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Reshma. Thank you, Representatives Khanna, Jayapal, Krishnamoorthi. So inspiring in a time where we're seeing so many brown faces in the public sphere doing really big things. I feel like in a lot of ways, this last year was a real coming out party for our entire community. We had impact in every election. I mean, just look at this event. Look at the people that are here. And it's so popular that, you know, mom couldn't even get into it. That and the fact that she probably doesn't work a computer that well. But either way, this is really exciting. And the next person, however, I think is one of the first faces that I remember seeing in the mainstream. One of my favorite actors, producers. He worked in the White House for a little while. And he also recently had a show that explores issues relevant to millennials and Gen Z voters called Penn Approves This Message. Everyone, please Cal, you still haven't texted me back, by the way. Otherwise, this would have been much better. No, you have the text. You have the text, Cal. Anyway, whatever, Gautam Beta. Guys, everyone, please, virtually give a big hug to Gautam.
Thank you, Beta. Thanks for having me. Hey, everybody. Ravi, my apologies. As you know, I am terrible with text, so I'll have to check that and get back to you and probably a bunch of our other friends who are on this gala tonight. When I was listening to the representatives, I was just sort of thinking, like, looking at the lineup, this is such a night that celebrates the American dream, truly, right? I think the 12-year-old me would not have thought, wow, you're going to have a South Asian American vice president in your lifetime. I mean, I think the bar I tried to set for the American dream was playing a stoner in a movie, which I don't think is the reason my parents moved to America. Sorry, Mom and Dad, I know you're watching this. But then look, having a chance to be an actor and then work for President Obama and then Vice President Biden was a huge honor to take a 2-year sabbatical from the arts, which of course is my first love. And the first time that I had the chance to, first and really probably the only time I had the chance to personally interact with Vice President Harris was in 2007. Those of us who were volunteering for the Obama campaign, we were knocking on doors in Des Moines, Iowa. And I remember Mayor or Eric Garcetti, who then was a member of the city council in LA, and Kamala Harris showed up just one Friday night to help us knock doors. And I just thought, wow, that was cool. I knew who they were because I was living in California at the time. But what I wanted to talk about tonight was the concept of intersectionality a little bit. So those of you who follow Nick Dodani, love this dude. And I especially loved his tweets about, like, Diwali is going to be so lit this year at the White House. I love that because I had the honor of hosting the first ever Diwali that was attended by a president when President Obama in 2009 said that he wanted to personally observe Diwali. There had been previous administrations that had observed Diwali at the staff level or had a senior advisor or somebody sort of come through and light a Diya, but President Obama wanted to do it himself in the East Room of the White House. And we timed it so that the Diwali celebration coincided with a signing ceremony for an executive order that President Obama signed, reestablishing something called the White House Initiative on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. So as you know, Daisies, we fall under this huge umbrella that includes, more than 50 different subgroups of other Asian Americans, a lot of different languages that are spoken, a lot of different faiths. And so anyway, President Obama and Vice President Biden wanted to put this executive order and this coalition together to make sure that they could tackle challenges that the federal government was sort of ignoring in the past. So things like data disparity, right? When you check a box that says Asian American on a form, it doesn't disaggregate that data. I'm going to be a huge nerd for a second. That means that, you know, a wealthier Indian American doctor is in the same category as among refugee, right? And so federal government services aren't necessarily targeting the right people. They're not being allocated fairly, and there's a lot of waste. So anyway, I got to be in charge of kind of shepherding that executive order through, and President Obama was going to sign it at the signing ceremony. That also was going to include him lighting a diya and have a priest come, and there were a bunch of mitai on these chairs for people who he had invited. And the weekend before this signing ceremony, my intern and I were doing some last minute work, and we were walking through the colonnade of the White House and happened to run into President Obama. We weren't expecting it, and there was nobody else around except for his Secret Service detail. And he sort of said, "Hey, what are you working on?" And I didn't know if he remembered this executive order for Asian American and Pacific Islanders. So I sort of briefly mentioned it to him. I said, "You know, Mr. President, this is a campaign promise you and Vice President Biden had made, and that's finally happening." And he sort of looked at me and my intern, and he said, "I'm really glad that's happening. Finally, you know, it's the right thing to do." And then he sort of walked off back to his office, and I thought to myself, "Wow, you know, there's no press around. There are no donors. There's nobody who could overhear the president saying that he's glad that we're doing something for the Asian American and Pacific Islander community because it's just the right thing to do." And that stuck with me for a long time. The weekend went by. The signing ceremony was the following week. I briefed the president before he went out there and signed the piece of paper. I also, by the way, had to brief him because he was lighting a diya. We had a diya there. He had to light it. So I had a candle that was behind his podium. And I was like, "Mr. President, light the candle, light the diya with the candle. And by the way, if the candle goes out, I have a matchbook that's like underneath the podium that I taped. So you can grab that, you can light the diya with that." But right before he went out on stage, I just had this horrible like premonition. Like, what if something goes wrong? What if he knocks over the candle, or worse, knocks over the diya? Like, everything gets ignited, and then the headline on CNN is Kal Penn, aka Kumar, screws up first White House event. And I was like, okay, calm down. The event went fine. We celebrated Diwali for the first time ever by a sitting president. But more importantly, a few months later, the BP oil spill happened in the Gulf of Mexico. And what a lot of people don't realize is a big group, a fishing community of fishermen in the Gulf are of Vietnamese origin. And many of them don't speak English as their first language. And because President Obama and Vice President Biden supported that executive order and the White House initiative on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, this office and this group that was set up in the government, there was somebody there who could go down to the Gulf and help them out as a liaison to that community and make sure that they had translation services when BP and others were coming in and asking them to sign these really complicated legal documents, for example. You know, the federal government didn't tell them whether they should or shouldn't sign those documents. That wasn't our role. But it was amazing to know that a president who wanted to just do the right thing obviously couldn't have predicted that BP would dump all of this oil and affect all these fishermen who happen to be Asian American. But that was a really huge reminder that somebody who just wanted to do the right thing could have incredible consequences to communities that are otherwise forgotten. And so when we think about intersectionality and we think about the fact that we should rightfully celebrate that we finally have a South Asian American, African American, female vice president, there's a lot more that we can do to support our brothers and sisters in the Latino community, the African American community, LGBT community, disability community, everybody sort of across the sphere. The last 4 years have been really tough on everybody. And I would encourage all of you as we kind of get out there and our celebrations are done and you take your Advil tomorrow morning, because I know y'all are drinking, this is vodka, see what you can do. See how you can partner with other people in our communities and make sure that we show up for Black Lives Matter, that we show up for other folks whose bills are maybe before the Congress, and make calls for everybody else too. So thank you so much. Let's all celebrate together. I'm going to turn it back over to Fawzia, but congratulations, everybody. Great job on this election. And we'll see you out there. Ravi, I'll text you back. Fawzia?
Thank you so much, Cal. I want you to know that this is not vodka, and I'm completely jealous.
This is all vodka, I'm telling you.
I can't wait to hang out with you very
it's
soon.
New brand, like Ryan Reynolds has his gin. This is my new brand of Vesi vodka.
I think it's appropriate. Why not? Like reclaim it. I have to say that actually Cal was probably one of the first faces I remember also seeing. And probably my favorite Bernie meme since the inauguration has been on the famous couch from the famous White Castle film. So very exciting. And everything, Cal, that you had to say really resonates with me. As a queer Muslim Pakistani brown woman, intersectionality is the world that I live in. And, really thinking of this intersectional vice president that we have, a Black and brown woman, she's such an exciting person, I think, to take us into the age of Aquarius, if you will. And, next up, I'm so excited to introduce this video that is just all of these heartfelt messages from across the South Asian diaspora and the community of love and celebration and hope from so many amazing folks and familiar faces. And so take a look and enjoy.
Seriously, I'm Parvesh China.
And I'm Sonal Shah.
And we want to wish Uncle Joe and Kamala Auntie a wonderful inauguration.
A wonderful, amazing inauguration. We are so excited and happy and ready for the next 4 years.
Woo! 4, 8, 12.
8. Oh,
16,
sorry.
20.
Can you yes, can you stay there forever, please?
On behalf of 3 generations of the Chopra family, we celebrate the inauguration of Joe Biden as president and Kamala Harris as vice president of the United States of America.
I was so excited to cast my first ever vote for one of my heroes, Kamala Harris, for vice president.
Now we can hope for a more peaceful, just, sustainable, healthier and joyful world. Onward.
Congratulations, Mr. President and Madam Vice President. We're so proud. We're so thrilled. This is the most amazing thing. I'm so excited. We have so much hope. Thank you, everyone.
Hi everyone, Sendal Ramamurthy here, and I wanted to take this opportunity to say congratulations to President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris on their election. In particular, I'd like to say thank you to Vice President Kamala Harris for giving all the Indian parents in this country the opportunity to turn to their successful doctor, engineer, dare I say actor, children and say, how come you aren't vice president? Thanks for that, Kamala Auntie, and congratulations again.
Today we celebrate hope for all Americans.
Congratulations, President Joe Biden and
Madam Vice President Kamala Harris, Auntie. Yay!
It's 9 o'clock.
Yes! Congratulations!
Y'all did it, and I gotta tell you, as wives, we feel safe with y'all in the White House. So thank you.
Thank you.
Woo!
Hi, I'm Cubby Ladner.
And I'm Thank Modur.
Thank you for making your cabinet reflect the diversity that is my family and our country.
And it just so happens that my mom's name is Kamala. So now I have two Kamalas watching my back. So, cheers.
Cheers. God bless you, President Joe Biden.
And Vice President Kamala Harris.
Wow. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. To hear a name like Kamala in the White House, right, Mom?
Kamala.
I say sorry, you.
But you should say sorry, you.
Well, she's not wrong. Okay, congratulations, President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris on this monumental win.
Congratulations, Kamala.
Here's to being the first, but not the last.
Yes.
When you think about the lives that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have lived, you know that they are everyday people who understand the daily struggle of life. And they come from two very different backgrounds. That's what's exciting to me, because that is what we need in leadership. People who are different, who can work together, who want to work together to represent the best of us and the best of what we can be. So I am super excited. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Kamala and Joe. We're so proud of you. Cheers to everything you've accomplished, and we can't wait for you to get to work.
President Biden and Vice President Harris, because of you, we have hope for a better future.
Thank you, and congratulations. Yay!
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Vice President Kamala Harris and President Joe Biden. We are really inspired by you. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hello, Tia Sarkar here. I just want to give a hearty congratulations to all of you who worked so tirelessly to get Joe Biden and Kamala Harris elected. And I'm just thrilled that our incoming president, vice president, and administration believe in science, reject nepotism, and truly care about humanity. And I am overjoyed that our next Vice President of the United States, daughter of immigrants, first woman, first Black woman, first Indian American, is headed to the White House. Just thrilled. Thanks for all your hard work. Congratulations.
We did it. It's here. It's happening. I think I feel better already. Don't you feel better already? Thanks to South Asians for Biden for getting people registered and for getting people out to the polls as we send Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to the White House. I do. I feel better already.
I love that. Alberta just hanging out there. That's fantastic. Okay, that was sweet. It was great to see everybody there. Hopefully you can hear me all right. My name is Rajiv Satyal, and we are back by popular demand with the Hollywood Squares segment. I'm going to be in the driver's seat for the presidential inaugural edition. And actually, you know what? Driving is a great analog for politics because we're all going in the same direction, at least in theory. And it's just the people in the left lane where we are. We want to go just a little bit faster. And people in the right lane, they want to go a little slower and, you know, presumably too slow because they leave the highway after some time. And, you know, and people on the left And that's where the carpool lane is, right? Because it's on the far left. We're literally pooling our resources. We're helping each other, right? That's what we do. That's socialism. That's where we are. On the far right, you've got the shoulder. You've got people running around. They're filling their gas. They're peeing on the side of the road. It's anarchy. That's the far right for you. And as far as cars themselves, I mean, you just look at the gears. You know, when you're in the car, you put the car in D for drive. That's Democrat. You go forward. If you want to go backwards, you put in R for reverse. That's Republican. So, you know, that's the analogy there. Let's meet today's incredible participants. We have with us the amazing, and son of a very well-known technology person, Robbie Patel. We've got Sakina Jaffrey. We've got Nisha Ganatra. We have DJ Rekha, Fawzia Mirza, Ginger Shankar, Aparna Nancherla, and Nina Davuluri. Can you believe this amazing panel? A round of applause for this incredible lineup. And you can give yourselves a round of applause too. You know what? Why not for the other people on the panel? Why not? Let's do it. So for those of you who have not joined in our past events, hope you've seen Hollywood Squares on the Game Show Network. Tonight we're going to play our own version of this game. And our game's going to include questions about the inauguration of Biden and Harris, past inaugurations, President Biden, VP Harris, SAB, and much more. SAB is South Asians for Biden. So hopefully y'all are ready. Y'all, I'm married to Texans, so y'all, shout out to TS, your car down in Texas as well. So Ravi, this first question is for you. How are you doing, Ravi?
I'm doing great, buddy. How are you? I'm sorry. It sounds like you need to maybe not drive.
I need to what? I did not hear what you said.
I said you need to maybe not drive. It sounds like the road's really chaotic for you, man. I feel like, you know. How are you doing?
I'm a man, so I believe I'm the greatest driver in the world. Have you ever met a man who didn't think he was the greatest driver in the world? All the women are shaking their heads like, yeah, man, that's pretty much how it is. Ravi, I don't know how much are you a football fan?
I am a big football fan. Oh, by the way, probably the most landmark event of this whole last year is today. A Gujarati dude got hired to be the defensive coordinator of the Bears, which is my favorite team. So it's a big moment for the Gujus. Last name Desai, for all the Gujarati people that are listening. Kemcho, Ame Avigya.
Very well done. My wife will be very happy to know that. She is a proud Gujarati. I'm a Punjabi. I married a Gujarati. I worked at Procter & Gamble for years, P&G, Punjabis and Gujaratis, so that actually works out. You know, at the Super Bowl halftime show, 90 million people flush the toilet at the same time. And I think the sound you might have heard at 12:01 p.m. Eastern after Biden took the oath and Harris took the oath was this collective sigh of 81 million voters on our side. I think that's probably... analog. Now, there were many fashionable choices at the inauguration ceremony on Wednesday, of course, but one in particular blew up the internet and went viral overnight. Was it one of the three following? Is it A, Ella Emhoff's tweed coat, B, Senator Sanders' wool mittens, or C, they see Uncle G guest in the audience's wool cap?
Well, I know the Bernie picture has been really hot, but you know, I married a millennial, so I'm gonna have to go with Ella, which I didn't care for, but my wife loved it. The thing with the leaves.
Yeah. Well, we're all leading now. I'm sorry, it's B. It's Senator Sanders. I think that's the answer. So it's okay. Thank you for going out on a limb, though. I appreciate that. Robbie Patel. Make sure you check out Pursuit of Happiness on HBO Max. I'm telling you, Ravi, to check it out. Not everyone else. You check it out. Your own work. You don't get a kick out of watching yourself. I watch my own stand-up. Okay, next up we have Sakina Jaffrey. Give it up for Sakina, everybody. And yourself, you can do that as well. This is not your first time out of South Asians for a Biden event, and you were not only part of our past events, but you were also a special guest at GoTV phone banks during the special election, motivating volunteers to make calls into battleground states. How did that go for you? Did you enjoy that experience?
Well, actually, there was a lot of this. You kept on, I had no idea that that's how it worked. And then the young people could go like, so it was, it went by like that. And we got very few responses, but we just persisted. Nevertheless, we persisted, clearly.
Well done. Well said. I agree. It's just, you got to drink that chai, man.
I didn't know.
And get it going. Or sorry, Ravi, cha. As the Gujaratis say, cha. So
Yeah.
there you have it. Well, let's see how well you know SAB. How many, my voice is still cracking. I just hit puberty 30 years ago. Okay. How many people make up South Asians for Biden's membership? Is it A, 8,000, B, 10,000 plus, or is it C, 5,000?
Okay, I have to be the only Indian who is afraid of numbers, but I swear to God, you can ask me how many jalebis will fit in a quarter-pound box, this numbers, okay. And I can't get a lifeline. You don't do that on this show. Can you get out of? Nisha will help me. Okay, let's go with it.
I'll help you.
So we have 81 voted for Biden. We have 330 million people in the country. The U.S. is, the South Asians are what, 5%? What, 5%?
Yes.
Okay. So we have those numbers. 63 voted for Biden, and none of those numbers made any sense. But let's go with the maximum number. 10,000 plus.
Yes.
Nice work. Nevertheless, she persisted. You got it exactly right.
Nisha, thank you.
That was the perfect equation.
Thank you. None of those numbers are correct, I don't think, but we did it.
They're all exactly correct.
Thank you.
They're all right.
A plus.
Right on the money.
A plus.
A plus. Top class, yeah. It almost collapsed like a house of cards, but you know what?
I'm free to help anybody else if it's not number one.
Okay, I got a lifeline coming to you.
Okay.
Totally fine. Since you got it right,
Yeah, Ravi, I got it right, Rav.
No,
Yeah, Ravi.
The math was perfect, but you basically had a mathematician helping you through it. She was.
I am a world-renowned mathematician.
Yeah.
You know what? It's great to see such female power because honestly, Nisha, you're up next, and this is going to be about the history of inaugurations. But actually, my favorite part of the whole inauguration was when you had Kamala and her Harris Doug, and you had Mike Pence and his wife. This time for a change, you didn't have two men talking, and the women had to sort of just kind of kill time and exchange pleasantries like they had to do. This time, you had a man and a woman talking shop, and this time a man had to stand around and kind of kill time. So that was kind of a nice thing to see the change and to see a new day. So Inauguration Day is, it actually used to be held on March 4th, the only day of the year that's a sentence, March 4th, and was moved to January 20th as a result of the 20th Amendment, little known amendment. Which president's inauguration was the first to take place on January 20th?
Nisha, I can't help you.
I happen to be not only a world-renowned mathematician, but quite the history buff. So this is a good one because I would have been lost, but you said the 20th Amendment. And we all know the 20th Amendment was written by Lin-Manuel Miranda. And so obviously the first president was Chris Jackson, who was also the first president to then go on Broadway and win a Tony for his groundbreaking role in Aladdin.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
She won.
This is right. She won also Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Just for those of us who may not have seen Hamilton, but yes, that is exactly yes, the choices were Roosevelt, Coolidge, and Carter. You didn't even need the letters. This one nailed it.
Lynn, always Lynn.
It was all Lynn. It was all Lynn. I love it. You got it exactly right. Congratulations, Nisha. It is Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So
thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you,
awesome.
Sakina, for rapping me the answer quietly on chat.
Oh, now the truth comes out. Now, nevertheless, she cheated. Okay, no.
Persisted or cheated?
Oh, assisted. That's fair. That's fair. That's a good point. Okay, next up is Nina Davuluri. How are you doing, Nina? Oh, we're on.
Well, this has been such a lovely evening, so I'm excited to be here.
That is so cool. Thank you for kicking us off tonight. It was great to see you doing that for us. This next one is for our very first, very own Kamala Devi Harris. And, we know Vice President Kamala Harris is half Indian and half Black. And it's great actually to see the brown and Black communities mixing. I love seeing that because we saw Deepak Chopra earlier. It was Oprah Winfrey, right? An African-American woman who gave him his platform. And he was on Oprah all that way, he wasn't on her, but he was with Oprah a lot. Although if they would have gotten married, she could have been Oprah Chopra. That would have been kind of cool. I would have loved to have seen that. The first Black and first South Asian woman of Indian heritage was sworn in by the first Latina woman to be Supreme Court Justice. That was Sonia Sotomayor. What a moment that was. So, who swore in Vice President Kamala Devi Harris into the Senate on January 2017? Was it A, her sister, Maya Harris? Was it B, California Governor Gavin Newsom? Or was it C, President Joe Biden?
So I believe, if I'm correct, usually the vice president swears in the senators. So in 2017, and the Senate is usually sworn in before the new president. So in 2017, I believe in a full circle, lovely moment today, it was Joe Biden who swore in Kamala to the Senate.
I think it was Lynn. I think it was actually Lynn. I think, for sure.
Lynn is the answer to all of these questions. You're exactly right. Fawzia, good contribution.
Thank you.
Or maybe it was Bernie's gloves, mittens.
We will swear by those gloves. There's no doubt about that. Nina, you got it exactly right. That was totally great. It was the now president, Joe Biden, which is awesome. So you got that exactly right. So this next one is for you, DJ Rekha. Where's DJ Rekha?
What's up? How you doing, people?
Oh,
yes.
Awesome. Awesome. We are so excited to hear you spin at the end of this. We're such a fan of what you have been doing for such a long time.
Right at the end of this thing, yes.
We
spin your answer. That would be awesome.
Yes. That's the answer. My answer is the carrot.
Your answer should just be like some Bhangra music and then just bam.
We saw the Trump baby for 4 years. We're so glad the Trump baby is gone, yelling coochie coochie coo and goo goo gaga. And before you knew it, he staged a coup. And then 2 weeks later, we had Lady Gaga in that same place. Now he can't grab any coochie. So I'm actually glad to say that.
That was sexy. Thank you.
Was that too much? Was that? You know what? Who cares? I'm not getting paid for this. Okay. During the inauguration, three phenomenal artists performed. Two were Lady Gaga. There was a tie-in to that joke. Two were Lady Gaga and J-Lo. Who was the third? Was it A, Tim McGraw? Was it B, John Legend from my state of Ohio? Or was it C, Garth Brooks?
It was MIA.
Yes.
It was MIA.
Yeah. No, it was Garth Brooks, the whitest man singing the blackest song, and I stole that from Rishi, the podcaster. I stole that joke from Twitter, but that is true.
You borrowed it. You borrowed it from Twitter. That's totally fine. Yes, that is exactly right. It was Garth Brooks. You nailed that one. So nice work on that one. Everybody give it up for DJ Rekha.
Thank you. See you later. No, we're still doing this. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. They totally got it right. And next up, we go to Fawzia, whom we've seen a lot tonight, and we are happy to do so. You look like you know your trivia. I think you've been throwing in a lot of good
are you
comments.
hitting on me? Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a great target. Okay, who was the youngest president ever to be inaugurated? Was it A, Teddy Roosevelt, B, Barack Obama, or C, John F. Kennedy?
I just have a question here. Aren't we not supposed to be talking about anyone's age, like amongst brown people? Like that's like against our collective religion, isn't it? So
not if they're dead.
Wait, we don't talk about weight.
She
We
called
don't
in
talk
a
about weight.
Yes, you win. Bonus points.
Well, I feel like the answer is the president who likes women as much as I do, or liked women as much as I do, JFK.
Wow, that's a great answer. I like that. You're exactly right. Happy birthday, Mr. President. You got it exactly right. That was JFK was the youngest president ever to be inaugurated. Love that. Okay, we've got Ginger. Where is Ginger? Ginger is here somewhere in the mix. Ginger, there you are, Ginger. You're next. You have been a tireless activist on so many fronts, and you know that OPPI voters, and young OPPI voters in particular, were the margin of victory in many key states during the general election. I actually called the Biden-Harris ticket 3 years in advance. I predicted that. And my prediction is, I don't know if I want to say 2024 and end the party, or 2028, but I think to showcase South Asian female power, it's going to be two South Asian females who are going to battle it out. That's my prediction now. It's going to be Kamala Harris, Nikki Haley. I don't know what's going to happen. But just because you're brown doesn't mean we're going to support you, right? I mean, Bobby Jindal even went to Brown University, and that wasn't really enough for us. So with that out of the way, what percentage of young OPPI voters voted for President Biden, contributing to the Biden-Harris victory? Was it A, 67%? Was it B, 78%? Or was it C, 83%?
Ooh, who's the math expert here?
Nisha and me and Nisha as a combination.
Yeah.
But we can help you out here.
Okay. And
Are
then
you ready? Let's do the math on this
going,
one.
right? We can figure this out.
We can. Let's do it. It's all about the equation. If you get the equation right, like Sakina, then the answer is obvious.
Okay.
So if we can figure out how to get this to Lynn, we'll figure this out.
Yeah, we got a musical. Yeah, go ahead.
The way to get this to Lynn, I think, is clearly through you and DJ Rekha.
Well, first of all, I mean, we got to give a shout out to the actual organizers and activists that worked this whole thing, AAPI, voter turnout, Georgia, I mean, all over the people that work this. I am absolutely not an activist. We have activists and organizers on the ground. Okay, so they mobilized pretty well this time. I'm going to guess
Maximum.
Yeah.
Always guess maximum. That's Sakina's rule.
I'm going to go with she's saying an 83.
Or Hamilton.
Got it exactly right. It is 83%, y'all.
Wow.
Woo.
Does this also work on the stock market? Like,
I hope so.
That maximum.
It worked Inauguration Day. It went up more than any other point. So I think it does. Aparna, it is up to you, my fellow comic.
I have a question. How do you win this game?
Yeah, I was wondering the same question. How do I win this?
I'll give you my points, Sakina. You can have my points.
Okay.
Well,
Sakina's already won.
I think so.
I think the only way you can lose is by getting it wrong. And Ravi
got it wrong.
Oh, no.
But that's sorry, man.
Well,
do you get dunked now? Is there a button and then you just fall?
It's like a dunk tank.
Yeah.
Exactly right. I think we all win by showing up. It's like voting. It's like voting.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's exactly.
But don't get it wrong because then you lose.
Maybe there's a little red button under Ravi's desk, and we dunk him into some Diet Coke.
Wait, so what did we decide? That everyone won except for me?
Yeah. Not yet. We have more people to go. Aparna's going.
Well, yeah, but I'm okay with winning without answering.
All right, Aparna, I wish you the worst.
Aparna is just stalling. That's all. But you had DJ Rekha. They nailed it. You had Nisha, Nina, Fawzia, Ginger, Sakina. They all nailed it. So here we go. Okay, Aparna.
Okay.
This last one is for you, and it's about the incoming Biden-Harris administration. It is already, they wrote it, incoming, it's already there, but that wasn't, it's not a trick question. To date, how many appointees of the incoming administration, the current administration, who are South Asian are in key staff roles? Is it A, 10 to 15? Is it B, 20 to 24? Or is it C, 25 plus?
Maximum.
You think maximum?
Always.
25 plus? I don't know if we're there yet. You gotta aim for something. Yes. Okay.
That would make sense. I mean,
if I get this wrong, you guys gotta.
No,
you're just with Ravi.
Believe. Okay. I'm gonna go with 25 plus peer pressure.
Oh, I am so sorry, Ravi. You were the only one who got it wrong. Aparna, you were right.
Yay!
Wow, I
Over a
love
party.
that. 25
Exciting.
plus. What is
Wow.
it? 27?
More than
What is the answer? I know it's 25
exact-
plus. Is it 20? I think it is 27.
Whoa.
That's
Does
insane.
anyone want to look that up? Google it. It's a lot. Thanks,
That's
Gautam.
great.
26. Kearney is saying it's 26.
I love
Google
that.
says a lot.
That's a lot. That is a lot.
Things
Good
are
work.
going to go well. That's what I say.
Yes.
That's how many minutes
Yeah.
long this panel was in overtime. So I think that's okay. So you know what? Everybody out there and for yourselves, give it up for Aparna, for Sakina, for Ginger, for Nisha, for Nina, for Ravi, for Fawzia, for DJ Rekha, who will be back.
Johnny Walker.
Thanks, Rajiv. Great job.
Give it up
Same
for
to y'all.
Rajiv.
You
We'll
guys
get
are-
together with any other Democrat who needs us there to help them.
Okay.
So
Thanks, Chris.
we're here with our numbers.
with our numbers.
Seriously,
We got
we
it.
have
Our
all the numbers.
83%
With our
and our
maximum
26 in the
guesses.
cab. Yeah, that's great.
Guys, it's been so fun. Good seeing all of you.
Yeah, you too.
Hey, everyone.
Sorry about the
Good to
loss,
see you,
Ravi.
Good to see everyone.
Unreal. See you guys.
Bye.
Thanks. It's such
Thanks
a
for the
Desi
answers,
goodbye,
Sakina.
man. Such a South Asian goodbye. We're just gonna sit here for another 10
Linger.
minutes. That's awesome. We just have to block them out. Okay. Thanks so much to our participants. That was really fantastic. That concludes our game. We thank you to all of our amazing contestants for playing, and I hope you learned some fun-ish facts. I think they were fun. The questions were good. The answers were even better. That was amazing. Next up, we have a very, very special message from my good friend, the amazing Nick Dodani.
How do I get out of here?
Whoa. Hey everybody, Nick Dodani here, coming at you from my family home in Phoenix, Arizona. In 2013, a lot of you will remember, the Supreme Court handed down a decision that brought marriage equality back to California.
California's ban on recognizing same-sex marriages is dead.
Same-sex marriage can now resume in California. I will be in San Francisco this weekend. There will be dancing in the streets.
At the time, I was a glorified intern for a group that was working with the plaintiffs on that case, a gay couple in LA and another in San Francisco.
The message to the children of this country: you are just as good as everybody else, no matter who you love, no matter who your parents love.
The day I finally get to look at the man that I love and finally say, will you please marry me?
As soon as we found out the ruling was in our favor and that marriages could resume that evening, we scrambled to plan same-day weddings for the plaintiffs. My job was to drive to the LA County Clerk's office and scope it out. Figure out exactly where in the building the plaintiffs would have to go, how much a marriage license would cost. I had to save a parking spot for them, etc., etc. So I went and pretended that I, at the ripe old age of 19, was the one getting married. I got a lot of weird looks, a lot of concerned comments, but I got the info we needed. When Jeff and Paul arrived to request their marriage license, they were denied.
That we cannot do anything until we hear from the state. And we haven't heard from the state.
Who do we need to call to make that happen?
They're going to have to call the state because they're going to have to issue something from the court. Can we have you guys step aside and let us handle the customers until you get...
Despite the court ruling, the clerk told us that they would have to hear directly from the state before they could issue a marriage license to a same-sex couple. So, my boss pulled out her phone and made a call.
Are you the director?
I am.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Real with AFER. These are our plaintiffs, Paul.
Hi. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
I have the Attorney General on the phone right here. You
Okay.
can take a call from her.
Sure.
Okay, Felix, here we go. I'm hitting the phone.
Hi, this is Dean.
You must start the marriages immediately.
All right, I will take that as our notice and license them.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you. Have a good day and enjoy it. It's going to be fun.
I'm looking forward to it. Okay.
That was the clerk of Los Angeles, and I just told them that they have to start marriages right away.
Later that day, I got to watch Jeff and Paul get married at LA City Hall. And it was that day that I became a fan of the fighter, the ally, and the auntie who tomorrow will become Madam Vice President. God, I'm so excited to see Joe and Kamala get sworn in tomorrow. I mean, Lordy, I am relieved. I hope you all find time to celebrate because we have earned it. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Hi, I didn't realize this was coming back to me. Okay. Hi, everybody. I think I'm just killing time, right? I was just supposed to introduce Nick.
Hi,
And then
Rajiv.
Nina, there's Nina. There she is. Hey, Nina, go for it. All right, there you are.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be back. I'm so excited for this next segment. Growing up as a young South Asian, we traveled back to India every year. And in India, I learned the classical dance of Kuchipudi. And I remember in 3rd grade, I said, I don't want to dance anymore to my mom. And she said, well, we already paid the dance master, so you're going to go to class. And I'm so grateful that she did, because Kuchipudi and Bharatanatyam became such a huge part of my core identity, my values, and who I am today. So tonight, I'm very excited because we'll be showcasing various art forms from the South Asian diaspora and their rich diversity. In this first video, you'll see Kuchipudi, Kathak, and Bharatanatyam performances by Manaswini Avari and Company, Farah Yasmin Sheikh and Nurani Dance, and Srilata Suresh and Vishwa Shanti Dance Academy. The second video will feature Asanga Damask's Sri Lankan Kandyan Dance School, Dilhan Pinagoda's Sri Lankan Dance Academy, the Maruni Dance from Nepal, and Bangladeshi dance by mother-daughter duo Rokeya Jahan Hashi and Mahadeya Ishal. Now sit back and enjoy the artistry of these incredible performances.
On behalf of myself, Nurani Dance, and our musical collaborators, we want to congratulate President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Devi Harris. We share with you Aaj Rang Hai, because today there is color.
Namaste. I am Srilata Suresh. I congratulate President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris on their historic inauguration.
May there be peace and only peace. May that peace be in me, ever abiding. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Wow, that was beautiful. This is basically turned into a wedding reception. Amazing talent. All of these people happen to be my cousins, by the way. Just a small little fact. That and the guy who's now the defense of the Bears, Sean Desai. Oh, so proud of you, bye. Gemcho. Anyway, next up, we have another keynote speaker, one of the newest senior appointees in the Biden-Harris administration, Gautam Raghavan. Gautam now serves as the Deputy Director of the White House Presidential Personnel Office, as Associate Director of the Office of Public Liaison in the Obama administration, which is a made-up office, another small fact. Welcome, Gautam.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I appreciate being here. Whenever it comes to inaugurations, there's always a question of what to wear. Like, do you wear a tuxedo? Do you wear a sherwani? And instead, I wore my Vote for Auntie hoodie, which makes me so proud to be able to do. I'll be really quick. I just want to say three things to folks on this call. First, I'll reiterate what others have said, but it bears repeating, which is thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. South Asians for Biden, all the volunteers who did so much work over years, and certainly the last couple of months, to mobilize people in this last election. You phone banked, you wrote postcards, you engaged voters virtually, and in some cases safely in person. You wrote op-eds and letters, especially in our community outlets, which aren't as famous or as fancy as the New York Times, but all of our aunties, uncles read them, and they matter so much to turning out the vote. You registered and persuaded voters, and then you got out the vote, and many of you didn't quit on November 3rd. You kept going and helped us get 2 big wins in Georgia. Second, I just want to reference something that the president has said several times over the last few days, which is that the word that captures the essence of America is the word possibility. It's the possibility of the American people rising up to fight for the values that we hold dear: democracy, inclusivity, respect. It's the possibility of changing the world in whatever way you see fit, whether you're doing it as an entrepreneur or as an artist or an activist. It's the possibility that brought many of us and our parents to America. The possibility that brought Shamla Gopal into this country's shores, not knowing that one day her daughter, Kamala Devi, would serve as Vice President of the United States and be on a sweatshirt, which is so cool. So when I think about possibility, I just imagine everything we're going to do over the next 4 years to build back better, to restore integrity and leadership in government, and to restore faith in government. And the last thing I want to say on that topic is this, which is that people are policy. This is something that our team in presidential personnel says frequently, and we really mean it, because what it means is the idea that when you have a team that looks like America at the decision-making table and in the halls of power, you get outcomes that are good for all Americans. So when I tell you that 1 in 3 appointees in this upcoming Biden-Harris administration are immigrants or children of immigrants, I hope you think about what that means. It means a government in which our stories and our histories and our voices are heard after for too long not being at the table at all. It means an administration that welcomes us, not despite who we are, but because of who we are, that really wants us at the table. And when I think about how the members of this administration are going to think about America and the ways in which we love America, I'm inspired, and I really hope that you are too. I know many of you are interested in joining the team, and I'm excited to hear that. And I hope that you will go to whitehouse.gov and fill out the application. And then please be patient, because there are a lot of jobs to fill and it takes a lot of time. It's a process that starts now, but will continue for years to come. And just remember, there are a lot of ways to be part of this team, whether it's inside government or outside. Most importantly, mobilizing our community every single day, because politics and public service aren't just every 4 years, it's a daily activity. So thank you for everything you've done and will do moving out. And thanks for giving me a few minutes to drop by and for making this day and this administration possible. So we celebrate right now, but then we get to work very quickly. Thanks for all your work, and look forward to seeing you all soon.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Deepa Sharma, and I serve as the Communications Co-Chair for South Asians for Biden. During this election, our task was to ensure that your South Asian stories and experiences were a part of the national dialogue. And those stories were centered on how policy of the federal government affected our South Asian community. So we're so thrilled to highlight how our new administration will make a positive difference in people's lives. We have preeminent policy and legal experts who will share their opinions on what we can expect to see from the Biden-Harris administration. Our panelists are Tahmina Watson, an immigration attorney and immigration policy expert, and she's also a best-selling author. We have Anurima Bhargava, a civil rights leader, the founder and president of Anthem of Us, and previously served as the chief of the Educational Opportunities section of the Civil Rights Division of the DOJ. We have Nisha Biswal, who is a foreign policy expert and served as the Assistant Secretary of State for South and Central Asian Affairs in the United States State Department. And we also have Sonal Shah, who is an economist who led the economic policy team for the DNC's Unity Task Forces and served as our next Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg's campaign for president. Has served on his campaigns as a policy director, excuse me. So I'm so thrilled to have you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us and everything that you did to organize our South Asian community. So I'd like to begin with Anurima. So you've served on the front lines enforcing our country's civil rights laws. What are some of the key things you are looking forward to seeing from the Biden-Harris administration that'll ensure that our country is on a path towards advancing the principles of justice and equality?
So let me just start by saying it's so great to be here with my South Asians for Biden family and be part of this movement and be able to celebrate tonight with all of you and then continue the movement going forward. These last years where we faced multiple pandemics, COVID, continuing and systemic racial oppression, widening economic inequality and disinformation and untruths, these last years have laid bare where the bones of our democracy are broken and where justice and the connective tissue of our communities have worn away. And we witnessed darkness that we could hardly have imagined. Children separated from their families and deliberately disappeared. This past December, 146,000 jobs lost in 1 month, all by women and mostly Black and brown women. Evictions and miles-long lines for food, and a national agenda whose very purpose was unashamedly to foment hate and divides and to dismantle and then storm and destroy our democracy. Well, the rebuilding and the repair has begun, starting on the inaugural stage. For persons with disabilities, what it meant to witness the Pledge of Allegiance given in American Sign Language after the mockery of these last years, to have Amanda Gorman remind us how faith in and support of our youth can give language and bravery to all of our dreams. And in the White House on day one, swift, decisive action to make real and make clear that it is the work of this nation at its highest levels to protect the rights of all. There were 17 executive actions on day one that centered racial justice and equity as a fundamental norm and standard for the country, fiercely restored the rights of the LGBTQ community, protected our lands, and gave dreams back to immigrants. And it will continue with voting rights, making it easier, not harder, for every citizen to vote, with systems that encourage and celebrate our participation, no matter our race or our party. And with schools that are tailored and resourced to provide an education for everyone, where we invest in our children learning and playing together so that they can grow up knowing and understanding how to live and work together. and with law enforcement that seeks not to protect or expand the criminal justice system and jails and prisons, but to protect our communities and our families from harm, and to invest in ways we know will lessen trauma, pain, violence, and disconnect. Most of all, I know that the Biden administration will bring dignity, integrity, and decency back to the enforcement of our laws and civil rights, and will bring love back to justice. So I'm really excited about what's ahead, and those in the administration, even from the South Asian community, who will be leading the fight for justice and civil rights.
Thank you so much for that, Anurima. So next, I'd like to ask Sonal, as an economist and policy expert, you of course are a thought leader on developing innovative ideas that will help our economy work for everyone. In your opinion, what are some key things that we should expect to see from the Biden-Harris administration that, in your opinion, are crucial to facilitating economic recovery?
Deepa, first of all, thank you for moderating this panel and for all the work that you have done. And also want to just thank the South Asians for Biden community, because none of this is possible without any of you. And I've been lucky to be a part of it. I've been lucky to participate in it, and I really am grateful for all the work that everybody has done together. And this is a team that had to work together, which is amazing. On the economy, I think the number one thing I will tell you is the economic plan of this president and vice president is not going to be about tax cuts for the rich. What it is about making the country work for everyone else. And that means making sure that we get to everyone the checks that they need because of this crisis. Making sure that we stop evictions from happening because we know that there are many people that are suffering from it. Making sure that we're creating new jobs by investing in climate, investing in new technologies, investing in everything that has to do with climate that creates the new jobs of the future. And you're already seeing it by rejoining the Paris Climate Agreement, by having a domestic climate advisor that is focused on really building a new economy, and a transportation secretary that is thinking about the future and what that future economy looks like. You're going to see it in the economics. When you look at the economic team that this president, vice president put together, it's an incredible team. We have some incredible South Asians on that team in the National Economic Council. And these are people who have committed their life to making sure that everybody participates. When you look at somebody like Samira Fazali, who has been working at the Fed in Atlanta, who has been focused on community development, that is the team that we're talking about. We are thinking about the real economy. They are building a real economy. But more importantly, I just want to leave here that this is not just the job of the president and the vice president and the economic team and the federal government. This is the job for all of us. We have to be there to support them. We have to be there to help them. And we have to be there on the outside to make sure that they can do their job on the inside. And we cannot be sniping at them and yelling at them for not doing something when we also need to be there to say, how do we make sure our congressmen and our senators support them? How do we make sure that our governors are doing the job that they need to do? So let's not snipe. Let's give them the grace and the opportunity to do their job. And let's make sure we can actually make this work for them, because if we want to change the economy, it's going to require all of us to be a part of it.
Thank you so much. That's such an important message, Sonal. I'd like to now turn to Tahmina, who is an immigration lawyer. And so you've actually served on the front lines and know acutely how our nation's immigration laws affect our South Asian community. What are you looking forward to the most under the Biden-Harris administration when it comes to immigration?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm deeply honored to be part of this panel, but also to be a small part of the South Asian for Biden team and see what you and all of us have accomplished. I kid you not, I come here with 3 pages of script because there's so much I can tell you. But what I need to tell you as I sit here and I listen to Penn and I listen to Nick about the stories, you need to hear some of the stories from me. I am excited about the leadership we have in place. You heard from from Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, who mentioned the bill for right to counsel that she and Vice President Kamala Harris had put together. Right to counsel was the key issue we needed over the last 4 years. So 2 stories. For Nick, I want to relay the story about what the same-sex marriage meant for the immigrant community. In 2013, the day that decision came down from the Supreme Court, I was getting off the plane to go to American Immigration Lawyers Conference in San Francisco. And as soon as we landed, we heard the news. And that was the day the keynote was going to be delivered from Alejandro Mayorkas, the DHS nominee for secretary from the Biden-Harris administration. At that conference where we had thousands and thousands of lawyers, he stood there and said, we have been holding on to cases that were denied because there were same-sex cases. And he said, we have just approved our first I-130 for the same-sex marriage case right there in that moment. That happened in real time. And the lawyer got the call in that conference, your case is approved. That's the kind of leadership Biden-Harris administration has put in place. Not only are they the leaders that we had dreamed of, they have put leadership in the right places with the right people. That makes me excited. What you need to hear about is what the last 4 years have been like for every immigration lawyer. If you have an immigration lawyer friend, go and hug them, please. You know, I have this book you can see behind me. It was written just before the election. It talks about how I mobilized immigration lawyers, and not just me, but other lawyers, what we have done to protect the rule of law. But what I didn't write in the book, in hindsight, I realized I should have touched on it, is my day-to-day life as a practitioner. The book, I talk about the community work I've done, the organizing, protecting the rule of law, getting right to counsel to the people who were at airports. I was one of the co-founders of Airport Lawyer, and how to get lawyers to the separated parents who got to Washington State. That's what I write about. What I don't write about is the executive order called Buy American, Hire American that did away with the policies we had on H-1B visas and green card applications. Our day-to-day lives were turned upside down as immigration lawyers because we saw the community just sort of fall apart, like what's going to happen with the DACA community and so forth. But we had our clients scared to death. You know, is my H1, I've been in the US for, 15 years on an H-1B waiting on a green card. It just got denied. I now have to uproot my family and go back to India or China or wherever. Those were stressful moments, incredibly stressful. We had to wake up and think about, please don't make it Friday, because Friday, 5 p.m. is when bad news comes down. So that's happened for a good 4 years. COVID came along, and COVID gave Trump what Congress wouldn't. He didn't want chain migration, even though that was his family's way of migrating here. COVID gave him a way to have an executive order to say no family visas for parents, no visas for siblings, no H-1B visas anymore, no L-1 visas. And February 24th, 2020 was the day he put in public charge as a policy. Public charge meant that you have to show your own financial self-sufficiency, even if you have a sponsor who has sufficient means to actually sponsor you. From February 24th to, I kid you not, 2 weeks ago, immigration lawyers would wake up and say, is public charge on again or off again? Off again or on again? We didn't know what to prepare because the preparation for public charge is twice as much than what you have to prepare for just the green card application. So I get excited to see that we have leadership that cares about America, that cares about the people, and has put right leadership in the right places. And what do I expect? I expect the processing times to go down. Before COVID came along, immigration case, I'm sorry, I'm taking just a little bit longer, but I need to say this. Processing times had gone up even before COVID. And then came COVID with, embassies are closed, immigration offices are closed. He instituted a new policy for biometrics, fingerprinting, and suddenly my clients who were H4 visa holders, particularly from the South Asian community, particularly from the Indian community, couldn't get their approvals with their spouses, couldn't get their work permits because the biometrics was now stuck, both because of long processing times and because of COVID. So that's one of the things I hope will go away. We need to reverse all the policies one by one. And I get calls every day saying, well, can I have an interview now? I said, it's only been 1.5 days. Give it time. So we need time. The other thing is that the interviews, extreme vetting, I don't know if you remember that term, that was the buzzword at the time. It made everybody have interviews. If you have an interview for everybody, suddenly, the line is longer and longer and longer. And that's why people haven't been able to get green cards, in addition to those work permits. So I hope these will be reversed slowly. And then lastly, immigration court. Oh my Lord, judges were now being dictated on what to do. So I am so grateful and proud that one of our own, Vanita Gupta, is at the DOJ, because we need to separate the immigration courts from the Department of Justice. So there's a lot of work to do, but I echo what everybody has said. Leadership can lead. They can direct us, they can encourage us, but the work is ours, and the work begins tonight. So let's all party, have fun. I know DJ Rekha is gonna just blow it up for us, but I'm grateful to be here. I'm great to be part of the family. And, read the book, because I think it's important to know what we have done so we know how to get to where we need to go.
Thank you so much, Tahmina. That was so beautifully said. And every time the previous administration came out with the immigration directive, it's like you could feel it in the pit of your stomach that it was going to be awful for a community. So thank you so much for all the work that you did. Another place where we would feel pits in our stomach collectively is on foreign policy, especially in our community. And so we have Nisha Biswal. You've had to see for the last 4 years what this administration has done, and the Biden-Harris administration has to now do a lot of cleanup work. What should we expect to see from the Biden-Harris administration on foreign policy in these crucial early days?
Well, thank you, Deepa. And my goodness, what a powerhouse of women here that we've heard from, on civil rights, on immigrant rights, and on economic inclusion, and the work that they have pioneered in our community. I'm just so awed and impressed and honored to be on here with them. I do think that the Biden-Harris administration is going to be putting forward a very robust foreign policy about rebuilding our international alliances, regaining America's leadership in the world. We have pulled away so much from all of the work that we have done in the last 50 years to build the international order, the rules-based order that has really held peace and prosperity across the world, and walked away from so many of those alliances. So I see the Biden-Harris administration really focusing on strengthening our partnerships and alliances, focusing on building and investing in our international institutions in the UN, the WHO. Can you imagine pulling out of the WHO in the middle of a pandemic to re-engage there? You've already seen on day one rejoining the Paris Accord on combating climate change. And then I think you're going to see a very robust policy of engagement to make sure that we have a foreign policy that is, one, based in our values and our interests, and two, is really respecting the rules and norms, so that powerful nations that prosper in chaos cannot take advantage of the weaker nations. I think here you're going to see a deep partnership, for example, with the United States and India, so that we are building a rules-based order where we are partnering to solve global challenges and ensure that there is greater peace and prosperity. And I think you're going to see these changes coming in short order in the coming days as they really focus on re-exerting America's engagement with the world.
So there's so much to look forward to. Thank you all for being on the front lines, for everything that you did to mobilize our South Asian community, and everything you did and everything you will do going forward. And I'd also like to thank our previous guest, Gautam, Raghavan. You said every time there's an appointment from our community or a historic first, he always tweets out people are policy, and it's so important. So thank Gautam for everything that he's doing. Thank our powerhouse panelists here. We're so indebted to you. And now we have another great set of performances to look forward to. Thank you all.
Thank you, Deepa.
Today we'll perform and represent our Bangladeshi culture. Congratulations to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Hey everybody, that was an amazing video, and what an unbelievable panel and set of panels we've had. Really the only upside of the last few days of the Trump administration was I was able to brag that I had more Twitter followers than the president. That was really great, more than 0. I think a lot of us did. That was good. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you one of our keynote speakers for the evening. His name, I can't even say name right. Let's see if I get his name right. Is Neal Katyal. And this is how amazing this event is, by the way. You have a Satyal introducing a Katyal. So, you know, that's some diversity for you. Those Atyals are really killing it, let me tell you. Neal served as, it says Neal, like we're not on a first name basis, Neal, my apologies, but this is the script. Neal served as acting Solicitor General of the United States of America under President Obama, and is currently a professor of national security law at Georgetown University Law Center, has the distinction of arguing more cases before the Supreme Court than any minority lawyer in history. Wow. Please, everybody, bring the house down for Neal Katyal.
Well, thank you, everyone. I know it's late, and so I'm just going to tell one story, a story about where we've been for the last 4 years and where we're going for the next 4. You might remember on that first Friday of the Trump administration, the scenes at the airports, President Trump who had campaigned on a statement saying, I, Donald J. Trump, am calling for a complete and total shutdown of all Muslim immigration to the United States, and who said things like, quote, I think Islam hates us. Well, he did it. He banned immigration from 7 countries with overwhelmingly Muslim populations. And my legal team and others sued right away, and we got the travel ban struck down. Then Trump revised it, and we got that one struck down too. And then he revised it again, adding North Korea and Chad, because America's had an overwhelming immigration problem with North Korea. And as far as Chad, I think he thought that Chad was some guy. But in any event, that allowed Trump's lawyers to go in the Supreme Court and say, see, the order doesn't discriminate against Muslims only. It also encompasses these other countries which aren't Muslim, like North Korea and Chad. Now, look, I thought I had the killer answer to that in the argument at the Supreme Court, and it's too complicated to get into that answer in just a couple of minutes. But here's the thing. We lost 5-4, and that third travel ban survived. It took 3 times for Donald Trump, proving that Trump can be very persistent when it comes to making the worst possible decision. But I was devastated, and truthfully, it was hard to get up after that. But one day I read a syndicated column by Ann Coulter and defending the Muslim ban. And this thing was reprinted in 200 newspapers. And she said the following. This is a quote from that column. Arguing against Trump was first-generation American Neal Katyal. There are plenty of 10th-generation America haters. You couldn't get one of them to argue that we should end our country through mass immigration. I was angry when I read her words. I rebel against the idea that being a first-generation American would disqualify me. I rebel mostly against the idea that mass immigration would somehow end the country instead of recognizing that is the rock on which this country was built. And when I read her words, I thought about so many of the things in my past, and I know so many of you have similar stories. I thought about my dad, who landed with just a few dollars in his pocket in Virginia, and this was 1960, and there were the signs right in the port that he landed in: colored bathroom, white one. He didn't know which one to use. I thought about his first job offer, which is at a slaughterhouse, which is not a great job for a Hindu. I thought about all the hate mail I got when I was doing the Guantanamo case, saying I was a Muhammad lover and stuff like that, because the haters aren't very good at distinguishing between Hindus and Muslims. That's what I thought about when I read Coulter. And Ann Coulter thought that being the child of an immigrant was a weakness, but she was wrong. It was my strength, because I knew from a young age what America was really about, what it's supposed to stand for. I knew it was a country of immigrants. And President Biden's administration represents the culmination of a 4 years long resistance effort that began literally over this policy, over the Muslim ban, in those airports across the country that I know many of you participated in. I could say Trump reaps what he sows, but that would imply that Trump spent some of the presidency actually working, which we know wasn't the case. But that's why that first day of Biden's term was so fitting. What did he do? He reversed that Muslim ban, that odious thing I just talked about. He reversed child separations, reversed the policy taking rights away from dreamers and letting them stay here, reversed a lawless census decision, and reversed that odious executive order on LGBT rights that Trump threw in at the end. What a fitting way to begin a new administration. And I can think of no finer way to begin this new chapter in our more perfect union than day one of Joe Biden's administration. So with that, congratulations, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Neal. The work that you do is amazing. Some of you may know this and many of you may not, but I went to law school. I was a lawyer. I was a litigator. And it's watching and listening to Neal that sometimes I regret my decisions becoming an artist. I know my parents regret that I I became an artist and I'm not a lawyer, but it's fine. Everything's fine. We're here on this Zoom, hanging out virtually, and that's a win. So let's keep it going. And we have a great panel coming up. It is the healthcare panel. We have the League of Doctors. I'm going to call y'all the League of Brilliant MDs. I watched a lot of old episodes of Grey's Anatomy to prepare for this. So that's where I'm at. Thank you all for being here. You're an amazing group of public health physicians, experts, and I know y'all recognize some of these amazing faces from the evening news. We have Dr. Kavita Patel of MSNBC, Dr. Jayapal of ABC, Dr. Purvi Parekh of Fox and CNBC, and Dr. Lipi Roy of MSNBC. So virtually clap, send all your love out here. And let's chat, because I know sometimes, especially I know in my family, talking about politics can sometimes feel a little overwhelming or complicated. But the thing that we all experience every day and talk about is our health and how we are being impacted every day and by the external factors and what our bodies are doing. So my first question, and the thing that's impacting all of us right now is COVID. So, my first question is for you, Dr. Patel. COVID has obviously changed all of our lives. We're here on a Zoom. There were, we had 1,000 people Zooming together over the last 12 months. As a former member of the Obama administration, what are your thoughts on our national policy approach to COVID over the last 11 to 12 months?
Sure, thanks for having me. And I do want to mention, it would be wrong if my mother would kill me if I didn't mention that I've got a single sister. She's looking, her bio data will be in the chat. It'll be available later. She's a doctor. She checks all those boxes. So putting it out there to the community.
No, this is great because I'm part host and part matchmaking.
There's no reason that we can't generate a little bit of love on this.
For one.
So I have to say that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
And if my mother's always very angry and like, Beta, why don't you get it? Why can't you find a husband for your sister? So
that's why we're here, actually.
Right. So now on to more serious matters. There's nothing short of saying that this past year has been no COVID strategy. The strategy has been to willfully allow people to die. We've crossed 400,000 deaths because we have had no national policy. We've had a president who was basically committing genocide on a daily basis by ignoring that we had a real virus and ignoring that, or blaming it on China, blaming it on others. And shockingly, South Asians have suffered greatly from a number of these debacles because we don't have data on South Asians. And when we do, we know that about 37% of South Asians in New York City were positive for coronavirus when they were tested. So we have an incredible set of problems to climb. But as you heard Neal say, like on day one, that was something that President Biden and Vice President Harris actually put forward. They put forward a national plan. So now the hard work is really up to all of us because we have a plan, we have federal support, we need to mobilize Congress to get funding, and then we actually have to do the grassroots work to kind of dispel the misinformation that the president spewed in his Twitter feed and his family spewed in social media. And then we finally have to do something to reinvigorate an entire generation of people who are fatigued, they're stressed, we have PTSD like I've never seen it. And we've neglected our children because we've isolated them, we've taken women out of the workforce, and we've done everything possible to strip away any part of the American dream. So we're gonna have work to do, not just this year, but it's gonna be, I think, on our shoulders. And I can't think of a better community than this one who brought President Biden into office. And I'm just I look forward, and I slept well for the first time this week, and I'm looking forward to getting more sleep.
Same. I feel like we're all kind of experiencing that, and sleep is such a great healer for all of us. I have to tell you that watching Dr. Fauci on the renewed White House press conferences, that guy looks like a new man too. Like he looks like he's been vacationing in Bali. And I think so much of it is just the joy of being able to speak the truth and be honest and express medicine as science versus fiction. So that feels really representative. And, thanks so much, Dr. Patel. And, let me turn it over to you, Dr. Bhatt. You've been a chief health officer, at all the levels, city, state, national. You've done all the things. So what are those next steps that you hope to see from the Biden-Harris administration as we move forward and as we try to address this pandemic?
Thank you so much, Fawzia. It's an honor to be part of this panel and this incredible moment with all of you celebrating history, better days ahead for our nation and the community with President Biden, Vice President Harris at the helm. And, just the other day, the sun actually rose, and it was brighter. And, I think about it this way: as physicians, we're trained to treat our patients. And I think now it's really time with this administration, we think about how we treat our neighborhoods as if they were our patients. That means combating the systemic racism that keeps people of color poorer and sicker than others. That means investing in communities and jobs. It means providing equal access to care for all Americans, regardless of their skin color or medium income and their zip code. It means taking care of our veterans and helping each other and restore trust. And so, as Kavita said, we actually have a plan and for the first time in this pandemic, and we applaud that science-driven approach that was put forward that takes important steps to expand access to supplies, distribute vaccines, address inequities, and give public health officials additional tools they need. That being said, the administration needs to fact-find quickly because of the lack of transparency and collaboration that they had on transition. That's going to be really important. Continue to lead with science and public health interventions we know work. We've got to work to accelerate vaccination distribution, fight misinformation, and address the vaccine hesitancy by leading with empathy, compassion, and science, including engaging our faith leaders and influencers like that of this community to be credible messengers and allay fears. I think we got to continue to scale testing and particularly rapid testing to make it accessible and available and use it appropriately for surveillance. Our public health infrastructure has been decimated at the state and local levels, so we've got to invest in that. And then continue to support our caregivers for who this virus has taken an incredible toll. And that includes thinking about mental health and supporting the mental health needs that families, our community, our caregivers will have, as well as veterans and those with disabilities. And I think there's been important policy actions that have supported care in the ways that we needed it during this time. And that includes telehealth, digital health, and building broadband infrastructure for rural communities and those without access, I think is going to be important moving forward. And two other really important things, I think economic recovery, which we heard about earlier, and have to support essential workers, small businesses that have been impacted, including those that our community leads and builds and runs. And then equitable recovery. We know that we haven't sufficiently invested in public goods and infrastructure after past disasters. We can't make that mistake here. We need significant and equitable investments so that we ensure resources flow to the Black and Brown communities that have been most damaged by historic divestment from the current crisis. And I was really struck by the moment at the reflecting pool where President Biden and Vice President Harris honored those who we've lost to COVID and drew inspiration from them. And I think that honoring of their loss and then coming in next day and taking action really gives me a lot of encouragement and hope. And I think we're on a good path. But I think it's going to take all of us to continue to push on these critical issues to make a difference moving forward.
Well, I'm so glad you talked about hope, because listening to you for a second, I was like, oh boy, we got a lot of work. This is a really long list. And there's so much, just dealing with a crisis and then also repairing the damage that was done from the last 4 years. So it's just like, on top of and top of and top of. And I actually just want to say, I love, you're talking about we need a plan and science driven, like the baseline for things. And hearing you talk about our mental health needs, I think that is something that is so forgotten about, or actually not talked about in South Asian space and South Asian community, and not really emphasized how important our mental health is. And like you said, Dr. Patel, like we are suffering from PTSD. Just the fact that we're like, we have a plan. This is so exciting. Like the baseline is exciting to us. We've been struggling. So thank you so much. And, I want to turn to you, Dr. Purvi Parekh. And hearing Dr. Bhatt talk about, the vaccine and that rollout. I mean, that's something that's a huge issue. And, I personally, I live in LA, but I'm in Toronto right now and thinking about Los Angeles. They're like, we don't know if we're going to get the vaccine until 2022. So could you, Dr. Parekh, talk a little bit? I mean, you're a nationally recognized immunologist. What advice would you give to people out there in terms of how to manage the seriousness of this record, of the record-breaking numbers, of the COVID numbers, with the hope of the vaccine rollout?
Right. And as an immunologist since day one of this pandemic, I've been asked immune boosters. I've been forwarded WhatsApp messages from groups of aunties and uncles abroad. I've seen it all, but the single most effective immune booster is a vaccine. It's controversial, it's politicized, but it shouldn't be. This is the only thing in healthcare where you get a shot and 2 weeks later, it's like magic, you have immunity. You get the second shot and another 2 weeks later, you have immunity. So the most important thing all of us can do for ourselves, for others, is get vaccinated as soon as it's offered to you. I was actually involved in the development of the vaccine from day one in the clinical trials at NYU. So I can assure you it's safe. My parents have gotten vaccinated. I've gotten vaccinated. So I would not, send people I love towards something unless I didn't believe in it. And the rollout is a challenge. We're going far too slow. Dr. Fauci is estimating we need at least 75 to 85% vaccinated to even get to that herd immunity. And we're currently losing more people on a daily basis than 9/11 and then Pearl Harbor. It's just staggering. And speaking of PTSD, I think we've just become used to it. We've become used to death and destruction, and we shouldn't be used to it. The amount of people that we're losing is just unfathomable. So until, that vaccine rollout is corrected, until hopefully the Defense Act is activated so that we can produce more vaccine, more candidates get approved by the FDA, we still have to be very careful. We have to protect ourselves, we have to protect each other. That mask wearing can't stop even after, let's say you're lucky enough to get a vaccine, the hand washing, the distancing, because right now we're so close, but we're also at a tipping point, so this is, I believe, the beginning of the end, speaking of hope, but we can't screw it up. There's new strains out there, but now we do have a glimmer of hope. So, just hang in there. But if you want an immune booster, don't look at your WhatsApp messages, get the vaccine. I mean, I'll text you on WhatsApp if you want to go get the vaccine.
I feel like the don't look at your group WhatsApp messages from your aunties and your khandan and your relative, like that feels like good advice across the board. Like just don't, like they're going to send you pictures of birds. And then there's some like verses from any name or religion. There's verses in a book. There's all the things you can do. There's definitely some fake news in there. It's fine. It's just your mom sending it to you. Yeah, I mean, thank you so much for that. And I think like really demystifying and just reminding people that the vaccine is safe. And I know something that I was told that I really kind of move with is assume that everybody has it, you have it, and everybody has it. So move in space that way to protect yourself and others in the most cautious way. Well, and I know we are here to celebrate tonight, and we do want to have hope, and we do have hope, and we have to have hope to move forward and to be excited about our potential. And there is so much more for us to do, and with this new administration. So I want to turn it to you, Dr. Lipi Roy, you're an internal medicine doc and the medical director for COVID isolation and quarantine sites for housing works in New York City. I mean, wow, I feel like New York just really went through it in the beginning stages and the beginning months of this pandemic. And, I mean, it still makes me emotional thinking about those images of Italy and New York. Like, that's what I felt like was just hurting watching folks, and we just didn't know what to do, and we couldn't do anything from afar. I mean, could you talk a little bit about what your hopes are for the coming year in terms of when and how we can reclaim some sense of normalcy, whatever that means, or some new place of being in this country?
Yeah, well, first let me start with an apology to my friend Kavita. I don't have any biodata for her sister, but I am optimistic that every Indian mother and auntie watching is already logged on to shadi.com and Bharat Matrimony. Fawzia, thank you so much for moderating, and I thank you to the organizers at South Asians for Biden for pulling together this phenomenal event. I've dedicated my career to serving the underserved as a former primary care doctor to homeless patients at Massachusetts General Hospital and teaching Harvard medical students about drug addiction and mental illness among society's most marginalized, and then working in the nation's second largest jail complex, Rikers Island here in New York City, where I am. I learned that health isn't just about prescribing medicines. It's about, where are you sleeping tonight? How are you getting your next meal? Who's your support system? In order to regain any sense of normalcy, in my opinion, I think we need to do three things. We need to massively increase funding for public health at the federal, state, and local levels. Remember, disease kills far more people than war, and yet the military gets far more funding than CDC or NIH. The second thing I think we need to do is